Be on the lookout for two moose. We have seen a pair of moose in this very area. Earlier this morning, I did see, not this morning, it was yesterday morning. Yesterday morning, I saw a mother moose and a calf. Earlier in the year, sadly to say, there was a mother moose and two calves. Ma'am?
We had to be closer to you.
Can you not hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Yes. There was a mother moose and two calves earlier in the year. Sad commentary, but true in the wild of Alaska and in Western North Carolina. It's been a long day of touring, folks. Western Canada. Only one baby moose will reach his second birthday. 1 in 10 will reach his second birthday. Out in the wild, however, in the town of Anchorage and in the town of Fairbanks, they're having to remove some. They're recently in a Anchorage post that showed a moose had her head stuck in a cafe, a creamer, a coffee place, a barista, stuck his head in and said, "Make mine a latte." Yeah, they're everywhere. They're walking down the streets. They become a real nuisance, and that is because there's no natural predation. Bears will not go, wolves will not go into areas where there are humans at. That's the reason we think that right around that officer's area, right around that location right there, is the reason that we're seeing those moose in this area. We are starting to see some of those caribou that are coming down out of the upper part of the Yukon Territory right now. We're starting to see some of them down here. One of my teammates saw one out on some of these rocks off to our left. That was 3 days ago, I guess it was. So that is the first ones we've seen on their way back down. Again, caribou are in a natural migration almost all the time. Almost all the time, they are constantly moving. Anybody know the difference between a caribou and a reindeer? A reindeer is going to be a domesticated animal. Genetically, they're going to be the same animal. It's just one is raised on a farm. We have many of them in Alaska. Perhaps there's some in the Yukon as well. I'm just not familiar with them. Beautiful little lakes. By the way, there's some 2 million lakes in Alaska, many of which are not named. There are going to be little tidal spots like that where glaciers have melted out, leaving that depression. Folks, we're seeing something for the first time today. Up in the pass along these tops of the ridges, we're seeing termination dust. Termination dust means just what it says. Summer is over, winter is coming. Yeah, we don't have fall up here, folks. It goes straight from summer to winter. That is snow that you see on the top of that. That is known as termination dust. On the tops of all of these mountains, very high elevation, when the cloud sits down on them, all of that material does freeze to the top of those mountains. Termination dust. First time this season. If you look off to the left, you're going to see what appears to be a material, kind of a emerald color. That is because there is a there is some material here it is. Here's a good one right here. When some of that microscopic material mixes with limestone, it turns that water emerald. We have a beautiful emerald lake up just into the Yukon Territory. Very, very beautiful. I have just carried some of my guests up there today. All of this area right here is known as Tormented Valley. When those Klondikers made their way through the valley, you can imagine this being the lowest point in the Continental Divide, and that goes all the way down to British Columbia, all the way up to St. Elias Mountain Range. Mr. Moore, the founder of the town, knew that it was going to happen right in this valley because this is the lowest point. He was already starting to take Skagway in that direction. He knew that there was small amounts of gold being discovered all along in the Klondike region. He had already got a sawmill going. In that sawmill, he built the dock. That right where the people that's sitting on the legend, that is known as a railroad dock. He already had a dock with 2 berths for ships, even before the Klondikers came in, knowing that it was just going to be a matter of time until that big gold rush happened. He even got an engineer to go up and design a water production that would have, coming from right above that ship, is going to be the Dewey Lake. That Dewey Lake, big huge pipe, comes down for water purposes as well as to turn the generator. We have a secondary one. We will be seeing that one shortly. There is another train coming up right there. That is where he will do the turning basin. That is going to be only the summit train. That summit train will make its turn. This one that you just came up on will fall right in behind him. All of these U-shape, that is where the glaciers have made their way back down through the valley. Folks, there were 2 films shot in this very valley. Now, they have a nice snow and ice covering that valley through about mid-June this year. We have an exceptionally cool and damp June. It was well into June. All these high mountains around here, it was well into July before we lost all the snow on them. We still see some. That is a cirque right up there. Where you see that biggest amount of snow, that is a cirque. That is almost like a volcanic cup. That when it blew out, that is just a big ice pod in it. This right here is known as a hanging glacier, hanging on the side of the mountain. Coming down right here to my right is going to be the International Waterfall. That International Waterfall, if it goes to the left, it is 14 miles till it's back to Skagway and the Taya Inlet, right where your ship is. Dawson City over to Fairbanks, Alaska, all the way out to Nome. If it goes to the left, Skagway River, 14 miles, 2,200, and ends up in the Bering Sea. Folks, you're getting ready to come back into the United States. Right at the top of this mountain, right here to my immediate left, right about 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock now. That pipe, or that mountain, or that thing does say United States on one side, Canada on the other. I am not authorized to stop here, but this would be the Welcome to Alaska sign. Anybody wish to have a picture of that? Welcome to Alaska.
Get it.
All right.
Did you get a picture? I think I did. Good. Okay. Yeah, I did. Good.
You might be able to share that with some of the other folks if they wish. Folks, right up at the top of this mountain right here is going to be a sign that says 3,232 feet. 3292. 3,292 feet, just shy of 3,300 feet. That is the highest point. Right here on this wall, there's going to be a little tiny sign right here. That is the highest point on this Southern Klondike Highway. That goes up to Dawson City. It then goes to North Klondike Highway. This is the highest point on that entire 400 and something mile trip, all the way up to where that gold was found in Dawson City. And this is a situation where the mountain, or where the clouds are basically just set down on top of us. If you see these pipes right here, these pipes are so that the snowplow operators will know where they're at in the road. They will start right in the center. They will throw ice and snow either directions. Again, when I came up here in April, there was about a 10-foot pile here, 10-foot pile over there. They just went right through the middle. White, you're all right. Red, you're dead. That is so the snowplow operator knows where he's at. That guardrail will be covered up with snow. They don't know where they are. That is the means that they would have in knowing where they're at. Folks, I'm hoping you're enjoying the little narration.
Yes, sir.
Normally, we're not obligated to do that. But I'm saying, if I'm going to be going this way anyway, might as well let you folks know. Right down here is going to be the Skagway River again. We have spotted a bear within the last week in this pool that will be right here immediately to my left. Right here. Be looking along the shoreline. That's where they saw him the other day. I love cruising. If I cannot be on a cruise ship, next best thing is talking to people who do. So this is my 7th season in Alaska, 4th season in Skagway. My first 3 years were in Denali. Absolutely loved Denali. Folks, I challenge you, if you have never been to the interior of Alaska, you will never have seen my Alaska until you go into the interior. Specifically, Denali. Got to go see the small villages, Talkeetna. A lot of places in there in the interior that you would need to see. I do challenge you to do so.
Just last week.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, this time of year is just absolutely unbelievable out on the park. The tapestries of colors. By the way, the yellow material that you're seeing on this, it is a spongy type material. That is lichen, L-I-C-H-E-N. It is a fungus, a growth that is a material that the caribou could eat, and there's no hibernation for them. No, they're constantly on the move. The female will retain their antlers. I've often wondered how the male get to do this, but they will sweep the ice and snow back. They will sweep the snow back. They will take their feet and tamp to break open that ice to get to that lichen. Again, at the time of that winter, they're carrying 1, if not 2 calves. A very quirk of nature, the North American continent. In 2018, there was over near Mount Logan in the Yukon Territory, there was a big earthquake. It shook the very foundation of that old bridge. Again, a cantilever bridge is only only anchored on one side. It has got 2 guide lines that holds it over the Sawtooth Mountains. There is some down in Montana. This is our version of them right here. If you'll be looking to the immediate right, immediately to our right, that is going to be our version of the Bridal Veil Falls. Bridal Veil Falls coming up right here. Legend has it, if you drink from that, if you are a single woman, you will have a marriage in hand and or a proposal by the end of the year. I said that early in the spring. A young woman yelled out, "Stop the bus." When we got up to the bridge, the suspension bridge, this guy called me and asked me to take some pictures of them. What it was, I told him to go to a very beautiful overlook, and that I would be up there momentarily as soon as I could get the bus parked, and I would take pictures. He told me he was the first one in line, and he said for me that I'm going to be proposing to her. I want you to keep her distracted for just a moment till I get on my knee. So I had her stand there, and I'm taking pictures, posing with her, and then she turns around and he's on his knee and proposed to her. Again, 7 seasons up here, that's the first time that's ever happened to me. I do hope to get, and I've still got names and such of the young couple. I hope I get an invite. I would really love that. Congratulations to that young couple. Folks, the way that sun is coming through, look at the side there. Spectacular. We've not seen something quite that looks like that this summer. If your head is a little bit stopped up right now, we're coming out at a very, very good descent. Grab your nose lightly, press or blow slightly. That will relieve that pressure on your sinuses. Public service, Tom, your Southern gentleman. Thank you. Coming around that valley right there was going to be the Lawton Glacier. We have now seen the second glacier. Oh, well, we haven't seen it. It's well out of sight. But that is the water that will make up part of the Skagway River. Again, we have got 3. We're still 1 to come shortly. That cut right along there is where you came up on the train earlier. They probably mentioned Pitchfork Falls to you on that train. We're going to be crossing it momentarily. That happens so fast you'll never be able to see it on the train. But I'm going to offer you that opportunity to look up at the top up there. That is Goat Lake coming down. Coming down, it is a series of waterfalls that is known as Pitchfork Falls. Pitchfork Falls. Coming down right through there. Again, Goat Lake. That one will freeze up. However, there is a very deep pipe that goes down into that, well into that. If you look to the right of that Pitchfork Falls, you're going to see a water pipe. That is a secondary water source that we have in Skagway. Again, 1899, they had the first one in. That one was built in the 1960s. That water pipe comes down to a generator that is turning. Folks, when there are 4 ships in town, one of the 4 will have to use his own power. We do not have enough power for everybody. Or if there are 2 mega ships, one of the 2 will have to have its own generation being done. Skagway just does not have that power. Beautiful twist of the clouds and such. That one right in front of us is going to be the Warren J. Harding Mountain and Glacier. That actually is right over the ship. Do we have a Royal Caribbean ship on the ore dock today?
Yeah.
I believe we do. Right over that ship, kind of looking up and to your right, that's going to be the Warren J. Harding Mountain and Glacier. Entry. Hoping that everyone has enjoyed their stay in Skagway. You will not be required to show yours on this location. I have just vouched that I have red everybody's, and these, for the most part, are a form of willow and or cottonwoods that we're seeing along here. We do have Sitka spruce. We have black spruce, white spruce. We have a western hemlock that is happening in the area. Probably for the time of year, yes. Right there's going to be an opportunity that you would have had today to go up and do some rappelling off the side of the mountain. Anybody wish to do that? Yeah, me either. Oh, got to tell you a story. My grandson was up here the first time this year. In fact, the first time. That's the reason I came back, by the way. I am 78. Will be 79 next month. However, I have not planned on coming back since COVID. Again, I'd already been up here 6 seasons. My grandson, I'd ask every one of my grandchildren if they wish to join me in Alaska to let me know. After his college was out for the summer, he said, "Grandpa, are you going back up to Alaska this year?" I hadn't planned on it. "Do you want to go?" He said, "Yes, gotta go. So I made a few phone calls, and yes, they were able to get me in, provided I stayed till the end of the season. They have a lot of college students. They are hurting at the end of the season. So the promise was made, and here I am. Okay, now where was I going with that? I had some thought process. I don't know. It's been a long day. I forget who I told what. But, when you have multiple tours, sometimes they kind of all run together. But, oh, yes, I do know where I was going with that. He and some of his buddies. Have y'all seen that big clock up on the wall? It's actually a pocket watch. That pocket watch up on the wall, that was done by one of the Klondikers. Well, actually, all of the shops in town used to have their signage all up and down there. When they had cut all the trees out to make for the town, making the town, they had all that wall space open. So my grandson goes up there with some of his buddies and rappels off. And he takes a picture and sends it to his mother. His mother calls me and says, "Why are you letting him do that?" I'm sorry. I'm in bed a long time before that young man was doing that. Look right up in the very left right there. In the very left, right in that very V, that is the Denver Glacier. The third glacier that will be going into Skagway River. That is the third glacier, Denver Glacier, a part of that greater Juneau ice field. Did anybody go into Juneau yesterday and see the Mendenhall Glacier?
Yeah, we were not able to cancel.
Cancel?
Yeah, we had a medical emergency on us.
Oh no. Oh no, hope everybody's all right.
Me too. Last report we got, he was fine.
Oh wow, okay. Well, man, I hate hearing that. Okay, you're in the Chugach mountain range right now. That is a subdivision, if you will, of the greater Alaska Coastal Range. That Alaska Coastal Range extends all the way down to British Columbia, all the way up to St. Elias Mountain Range. There was an area that we were just looking at over in from Ridgely. Okay.
I'm actually from Plum Branch. I'm sure you don't know where that is.
Where's that?
Plum Branch.
Plum Branch. I've been through it. I have been through it.
We on the map.
Right here is going to be the Skagway River. Again, no salmon can make it up. No salmon because of way too much glacial silt material. That is kind of a meal or a flour mix, if you will.